Hi everyone, and welcome to the YPN Top Producers Panel for Winter 2022. Thanks for joining us. And of course, a special thanks to our sponsors for making all of this possible. I'm Shannon Johnson with the YPN Chair for NSBAR, and I'm joined today by Ethan.nagar, my co-chair and trusted partner for all of our endeavors this year.
Thank you, Shannon. It's been an amazing experience.
Thank you so much for joining us. We want to spend as much time as we can with our incredible top producers today, but before we introduce them, we have to take a minute to talk about the new facilities here at NSBAR. We're actually sitting in our new and exciting studio where they can film all things NSBAR right here. And what more could we ask for?
I think it's pretty awesome. It's a really great facility.
It's looking beautiful out there. I wouldn't say it's ribbon cut and ready, but it's looking good. So if you get a chance to stop by, add batteries for your
Century
locks or anything like that, come on out and take a look. So Ethan, would you like to introduce some of our panelists today?
Absolutely. Let's do it. So we're going to start off with Kaitlin Allen. Kaitlin has been working as a professional real estate agent with Baird and Warner since 2017. In 2021, she was awarded with top 1% company-wide mortgage sales and units, top office producer, and received the Mortgage Partnership Award. Kaitlin's honesty, integrity, determination, and dedication has helped her to succeed to being a top agent in her company. She's always looking for ways to better support her clients. She has a strong work ethic, strong belief, and a true passion for this business. I'm going to introduce Joe.Gerber. Joe is a top producing broker and team leader with Engel and Völkers, Chicago North Shore. In 2020, at 24 years old, Joe honed in on his educator background and founded the Gerber Group, a full service team of 3 licensed brokers and 1 full-time operations manager. In 2021, Joe and his team closed over $14 million in volume, totaling nearly 60 closed transactions.
And next we have Lala Mahoney. She is with Jameson Sotheby's, based in their Evanston office. She specializes in residential real estate in Chicago and the northern suburbs and creating a luxury experience for all her clients at every price point. Lala's insights on consumer behavior, as well as her grasp on social media strategies, make her a leader in the real estate industry. She also holds a real estate negotiating expert certificate and a managing broker's license to round out her background. And lastly, we have Brady Anderson, who was born in Lake Forest and raised in Lake Bluff, where he currently lives and represents the 5th generation of his family's real estate business, Griffith, Grant, and Lackey Realtors, now affiliated with Compass. He's been a licensed realtor since 2011 and is one of the principal brokers of the GGL group, which includes 25 agents, and sold over $230 million of real estate in 2021.
That's amazing. All right, let's get into our first question. How do you capture and follow with online leads that you get from your posts and social media marketing?
So thanks for having me, by the way. I definitely try and follow a quote that I learned when I was in high school in all of my sort of initial prospecting conversations. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And so I use that sort of as my guiding light in conversations with prospects, because I think that we're more than just real estate brokers. We're advisors, we're educators, we're counselors. And I definitely use social media as an outlet to also share those things from my life as well. I use social media sort of as a blog, both professionally and personally. And so I think when you reach out to clients on a more personal and a deeper level, it resonates with them. So one of the things I often do is I wish people happy birthday. I'll send little notes on engagement, congratulations. And I find that when you start with that and sometimes infuse real estate into it, it bodes well.
So next question, what personal habits or rituals help you to stay focused, and how important is mindset in your day-to-day business?
Yeah, I think mindset and following a daily routine is important, because real estate can be a roller coaster ride of emotions, not only for yourself, but for your clients. So, we can be in the highest of highs and have a few deals going, and then a few days later you have a deal fall apart and you feel like you have to start over. So I think it's just important to always stay positive and surround yourself with people who will motivate you and motivate you to always work hard and represent your clients in the best interest. But for a daily routine, it's difficult to follow the same routine every day because every day is different and no transaction is the same. But I think as long as you devote a few hours a day towards the goal you're working to achieve, I think it's important just to be consistent with that.
Great. And what lead generation methods are getting you the best results? Are you always changing it up, or do you have a specific system for leads? Can you walk us through your process of keeping your pipeline full?
So I think that for lead generation, at least for me, it's really important to show the consumer that we have the team that they want. We surround ourselves. I have my mom is actually my partner. We have a really strong attorney, lender, managing broker, brokerage. All of those factors play in because our biggest referral base is our past consumers. So the past clients are the ones who are really filling our pipeline. And when we do a good job for them and treat them like family, they tell their friends and family and they want to come back and use us again. So we really focus most of our attention on our direct clients at that moment. We do a lot of other things. We do pop buys, we do farming, social media content, personal videos, open houses, mailers, door knocking, agent referrals, social events, block parties. All of those things play a part, but really the most important for us is the ongoing referrals from past clients.
Can you share a time in your real estate career that you felt you failed and what you learned from that experience to drive you forward?
Definitely never go out on a real estate showing without toilet paper in your car. No, but I do have a couple of serious ones. One is not understanding the value of my time. I learned that probably a little bit too late in my career. And then another one, not comparing myself to other people, which is hard because you get these notifications of so-and-so sold so much, so-and-so got an award. But I finally have tried to keep my blinders on, and I'm just doing the best that I can with the time that I have.
Absolutely. Obviously, that's worked for you.
Yeah.
All right, that was a great answer. And now our next question is, some of you have served as board members or committee members within NSBAR. What has your experience been? How has it affected your career? What have you learned, and how have you grown through this process?
So I think that being on the board of NSBAR has really helped me see the impact of each of us and our actions, both as brokers and as professional colleagues, and creating change in how we expect one another to interact with one another, both on the professional level and also with consumers. It's also helped me realize sort of where there's strengths and where there's still sort of things to work on. And also created a sort of a camaraderie and a partnership with other facets of the industry and other brokers that I might not have necessarily met or connected with. So I think that that's sort of the largest sort of impact that the board has had with me in particular. But it also helped me connect a lot of layers of the industry that I hadn't connected with, like government and policy and in the RPAC, right? So I think there's a lot of layers that if you're more thinking in a transactional mindset as a broker or realtor, I think that we don't always understand those layers and how they work symbiotically together as a system. And I think that was one of the most significant lessons I learned. And I'm still sort of working to figure out where I fall in that and how I can make an impact even moving forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And Brady, I know that you've served on YPN and other things, and you're now have a new government position. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm a trustee for Shields Township. But yeah, I wanted to jump in on this question because I was involved with YPN for three and a half years, and it's one of the past years, and just wanted to say how much of an amazing opportunity it is to work along so many talented people, and there's just so much fun hosting events and raising money for charity, raising money for Lurie Children's Hospital like we did, and just meeting colleagues within the whole 4,000 plus member network of NSBAR that you may never cross paths with. So I think it's a great opportunity, and there's so many committees, I think 11 or so, if I'm not mistaken, with the NSBAR to get involved with. So it's just a great way to stay connected.
There's definitely great opportunities with NSBAR.
Great. Here's a new question. Have you seen appraisals being an issue due to the rapid rise in real estate prices? And how are you advising your buyers and sellers regarding the appraisal issues?
During the onset of the pandemic, when we saw all this rise in pricing, we did have a few issues with appraisals. But now that we've had so many sales over the past 2 years, there's far more comps to support the prices. So more so in the beginning, not so much anymore. But as far as the second part of that question, I think it's just important to always be prepared, for if you're meeting an appraiser of one of your listings. I like to always bring along a packet of information with the contract, the comps, brochures, floor plans, really anything that's helpful for the appraiser. And in pricing homes, it's important to still price correctly, because otherwise you may run into this issue.
All right, our next question is, can you walk us through your CMA process when determining your opinion of a home's value? Example, how many homes do you use as a comp? How many months back do you go? Price per square foot, etc.
Yeah, so no two homes are exactly the same, even if they're the same model and have similar updates. You really have to take into account the location, size, age, construction, the time of the year that they're trying to sell. Usually I go back to the immediate neighborhood, and I like to focus on, roughly 10 or so sold properties, depending, and then I will open it up to just outside of that neighborhood to see what the additional homes show. But I do also like to include contingent and active, because it's really important to know what the competition is to really price it right when you actually hit it on the market.
Okay. How are you advising your buyers and sellers in this market and with multiple offers? And what types of strategies do you recommend they consider? And are you still seeing multiple offers, or has that started to cool off as well? What are you seeing out there?
Oh, it is a crazy market out there. It's definitely competitive. So I think the most important thing to do when you're working with a buyer right now is to have a buyer consultation straight out of the gate. You need to educate your buyer on the market, but I think most importantly, the buyer needs to partner with a really great lender, because we are seeing multiple offers still. I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon. So they need to know their options, and not just getting pre-approved, but to get into the pre-underwriting situation where they have all of their paperwork with the lender. Also, what about bridge loans? Is that an option for them? So I think that educating them straight out of the gate reduces buyer fatigue, which is a real thing right now.
What are your favorite books or podcast recommendations for mindset and real estate?
Well, okay, so they're not real estate related, but one of my favorite books that I read in college, I have an education background. It's called The Other Wes Moore by a gentleman named Wes Moore. And it's a really interesting look at equity and sort of community makeup. I do a lot of work with the Diversity and Inclusion Committee with NSBAR. I'm also the vice president of the Chicago chapter of the LGBTQ+ Real Estate Alliance. So access to homeownership and equity are things that are, I think, very important. And I think we're, as an industry, starting to kind of focus on that a little more intentionally. Another book that's sort of a mindset book that I really love is called Happiness is the Way by Dr. Wayne Dyer. I read that more for personal reasons, but I think it's really impactful because it talks a lot about reframing the way we think, both introspectively and surrounding with the world around us and how we interact with that. And I think that there's a lot of things to be said about the interactions and the intersections of our personal and professional life, both on the inside of sort of our inner speak and also the way that we speak and interact with the world around us.
Is that it? No one else has podcasts or books that they listen to? Come on, I know you guys got more for us.
I do.
Let's hear it.
So the two books that I would recommend would be Miracle Morning. That really helped me like get up early and get myself going. And I have a notebook that I keep with me every single morning where I sit down and I write out my to-do list for not just the day, but the week, the month, and I keep myself on track. So Miracle Morning, definitely recommend that. And then also Ninja Selling. That one's a really great one.
I agree with Ninja Selling. It's a great book. Absolutely.
I agree with that. I've actually got it right here. And
There you go.
there's two books. I did a Ninja installation and they give you or recommend two books. Ninja Selling was one. The other was The Go-Giver, which I thought were really good and would recommend those.
The Go-Giver is one of my favorite books. I highly recommend anyone that wants to read it. It's a really phenomenal book about just giving value, and it's great. I highly recommend it.
Wonderful. All right, with record low inventory, have you had a hard time getting homes for your buyers? And how are you combating that?
Yeah, it's certainly been a challenge for buyers out there with the record low amount of inventory. I primarily work in Lake Bluff and Lake Forest, and we have about 20% of the inventory that we had before the pandemic started. And so, I think just stay there, and there's a lot of deals being made and, pocket listings and private networks. So I think it's important to just stay connected with your local real estate community and, so you can be in the know of what's coming on the market because, we're seeing homes sell, the first couple of days they hit the market. So I think just being well connected within your community is the best way to know what's coming on.
Yeah, I mean, they're selling in the private listing network before they ever hit the market. So we know it's competitive for sure. For sure.
Very competitive.
I also think that this is a really unique opportunity for us to sort of network and connect and collaborate with brokers, with other brokerages. That's something we talk about in our office a lot during office meetings, is we actually have started to share to our colleagues what we know that's coming on with our colleagues at other brokerages. And I think that this is a really interesting way for the consumer community to see how we as an industry rise to the occasion and serve the clients, inter brokerage, cross community. And I think it's a really unique opportunity that I'm seeing a lot of us really take on with intentionality to serve our clients well.
I love that, Joe.
Absolutely. I do love, I've actually seen your collaboration of yours on social media. So that's pretty cool. And then how does the 2020 market compare to now?
Well, 2020 was the start of the pandemic and we saw a lot of interest rates starting to go down. And now we're seeing them start to climb up, last year being the lowest they were. We had home prices were starting to rise as everybody was trying to frantically find a home to purchase with these low rates. So now we're still seeing a rise in home prices. And I think we're going to continue to see that this year, but it will likely be at a slower, more stable pace just because there's, the interest rates are going down. There's still a lot of buyers out there, but their buying power is much less now. Just to put it in perspective, the National Association of Realtors said the median price of existing homes in the US grew by 9.4% in 2020. In 2021, it grew by 16.5%. And it's forecasted to increase by 8% in 2022. So we're still going to see that home price go up, but it should start to come to a more level base.
Sounding numbers.
They really are. So we are all expecting another rate increase in March. And how do you think that increase will affect our already unbalanced market?
We still have more buyers than sellers. The rates could shoot up to 5%. It won't matter. Buyers will still be fighting over houses. And I think that it's going to be like that for quite some time. The foreclosures are not going to be able to fill that gap that are coming. Millennials are starting to age into that home buying time. And right now, millennials are only 4% of the home buyers. So I think that this is going to be an ongoing issue. And I don't think that there's going to be any stopping it. I think that will some buyers back out because of rates? Yes. Will appreciation slow down? Yes. Will prices drop? Unlikely.
All right. So
Yeah, I agree. I mean, rates have gone up, since the beginning of the year, about a full point, but there's just so little supply for the amount of demand out there that I think it's going to take a while for it to. I don't think things are going to slow down in the near term. So I think it's going to continue to be very busy.
Well, and so many factors come into it. The cost of construction, there's just not enough houses to fill the need.
I also think that we focus a lot on the lack of inventory for the buyers we have now, but there's a really, really, I think, ingrained symptom of all of this that we have sellers who also have nowhere to buy, especially these empty nesters who their homes would be prime millennial purchases, but they have nowhere to go. And I think the supply chain pauses and the cost of construction is having a really significant impact on what I should think is an opportunity for developers to develop properties and communities for those sellers. So I think there's a lot of factors, like Layla said, that are impacting all of this, but I think that we're going to see somewhat of an uptick in development as the supply chain shortages sort of level out a little bit. And I think we're going to see a slow increase in inventory coming on the market. I just think it's going to be slow because there's on both ends of it, there's a lack of inventory. So, but I think we're going to see it sort of level out on all facets to some degree. But it's still going to be a really slow process, and there's still going to be more demand than supply.
So we've talked a lot about what's happened and over the past couple of years and where we think things are going. Are there any other trends that you see that you expect to see start to happen as we move forward?
White and gray are going away.
Thank you.
Yes. I work with a lot of investors and rehabbers, and one of the things I'm noticing is they are all desperately trying to help create that change. And so I'm seeing a lot of new construction with splashes of color while still having marble and gray and whites. So I'm seeing a lot of like deep navy blue islands or backsplashes with color or flooring with color. I think that the industry is actually trying to push the consumer away from that and create tones and patterns that are more exciting and dynamic. And I'm excited for that as someone who has a really deep interest in rehab and interior design and exciting decor.
I've also heard that open floor plans are getting pushed to the side too. Now that we have more people that will continue to work from home, they need a place to go into a quiet area. And with that open floor plan, they can't accomplish that. So I've heard more and more builders are going to start to make more rooms.
Yeah, it's amazing how that
medium, right? What was that, Brady?
It's amazing how that. I would say it's amazing how that floor plan, which was so desirable before the pandemic, has now become less desirable because of kids at home. While parents are working too and kind of wanting a little bit more privacy. So it'll be interesting to see if it goes back to that.
Very interesting to see how the market changes. I agree.
I will also say, and Brady can speak to this a little more than me being in Lake Bluff and Lake Forest, but there was a lot of publicity with properties specifically in Lake Forest, but also across the North Shore that had been on for quite a while, right? Larger homes didn't have open floor plans, right? Larger parcels with pools and entertainment areas outside. And we saw the pandemic sort of bring that to the top of a lot of buyers' desired lists. And I don't see that going away. And I'm already seeing a lot of builders and developers who have proposed new construction offer more dynamic outdoor space and more rooms and a little bit of a multi-level, sort of maybe multi-generational options. And I see that continuing, even in Chicago, where we have like 3 or 4 months out of the year in really warm weather. I'm seeing that, and I don't think we're going to see that go away really quickly.
Great.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, these large estates or, a lot of rooms that you wouldn't really use or, in large properties that people didn't want to maintain as much. I mean, smaller, more efficient homes were more desirable pre-pandemic, and now people want more space and they want outdoor entertaining, and that's driven a lot of, the market. So
Definitely. So it's been 2+ years since the pandemic hit. What have you modified or learned from this in your business that you will move forward into the future with?
Keeping people on mute. Cut that out. Just kidding.
I think,
Oh, sorry,
Go ahead.
Kaitlin, go ahead.
okay. I think that just kind of learning how to do my business virtually. We've done walkthroughs virtually. We've done open houses virtually, even listing appointments. I've walked through people's homes through their computer. And, the hard part about that is not being able to get to the face-to-face and build the relationship, which is really so important to our business. But just learning how to do that and how to serve our clients without having to be in front of them, it's really important. And I think that a lot of that's going to continue over just because of convenience for people.
I think it's forced a lot of agents to pivot to people that were not as technologically inclined, really were forced to step it up these past couple of years. So I kind of appreciate that.
For sure. Did anybody
Yeah,
else?
created a lot of anxiety, I feel like, for a lot of agents who are accustomed to, working out of the office and relying on an admin. And with offices closing, technology has just become even more essential to practicing real estate.
I think the other thing it's also done is with brokers and realtors who both have a lot of experience and might not have as much experience, I think it's taught us all to have an open mind because things can change so quickly. We had a story in one of our office meetings of an advisor in our office who went on a listing appointment and brought comps and sort of shared with the seller her opinion of value and where the house should be listed. And another broker came in and was more open-minded to pricing the house and got the listing and priced it much higher and sold it. And so I think that this is an example of being open-minded, being, committed to communicating openly and honestly with your sellers in particular, and also setting the expectations that the market is hot, but we'll see quickly if you're a part of that or if you're not. And so I think it's really encouraged us to remember just how quickly market conditions can change, and that we're stewards of that market, and it's our responsibility to really have an open mind and be creative and collaborative with others.
Great. So with inventory low, and we've all talked about that, what are you doing to secure listings and also to find properties for buyers or for sellers who want to sell but don't have a place to go? What kind of ideas are you using out there that are working for you?
I'll take any ideas because I feel like some sellers just won't listen. But I think it's just educating this, your contacts and your sphere, and making sellers aware of how much their home may have increased in value, because there's, we all know that their house would sell. It's also the other piece of that and figuring out where they're going to go. But I think just staying in front of your clients and making sure they're aware of the market conditions is what you need to do.
I've actually, when I have a buyer in a specific area and really there's nothing out there, instead of just sending the letters that people look at and think they're just generic and no one really wants to buy my house, I go door knocking. I go to all that style home and I actually get in front of their face and say, we actually have your buyer, and talk to them more about what that means for them, if selling is an option for them, and, just try and really get out there and be in front of people.
I think we're seeing a lot of negotiation creativity. And I think that that's going to be what it takes for this market to continue, if it continues with such low inventory. I think on the seller side, it's important to make sure that they're not as black and white in the negotiations as might be more traditional. And so if your sellers would sell, but they want a longer closing, or they want a lease back, or if, something like that, right? And on the buyer side, I think it's on the buyer's brokers to have a frank conversation on, if this is the house you want, you're going to have to get creative to be the one to get the contract. And so I think we're seeing a lot of it being necessary for both brokers to really work collaboratively and creatively, because that's the only way that both buyer and seller are going to get what they want. And I think as we see that happening more, and as we as real estate professionals continue to do that, I think the sellers are going to feel more comfortable putting the house on the market when they know that they've got some options. And so I think it'll continue to sort of play out that way if we continue to sort of be doing what we're doing, and collaborative and creative and all those great things.
Well, and kind of back to what you said in the beginning, Joe, about communication. I think during the low inventory period, you've got to communicate with your buyers on a daily and check the PLN, not once, but a bunch of times throughout the day. And as soon as you know of something, you got to get on the horn and reach out.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a great conversation, and congratulations on your business in the past, and good luck moving forward. And we hope to see all of you out there in the field soon.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
And that concludes our panel for today. Thanks to our panelists for joining us and all the contributions that they made. And of course, thanks to our sponsors once again for making all of this possible. But you guys, make sure you join us soon for our upcoming spring events. See you then.